I cover UCF for Rivals.com. Welcome to Orlando.
Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah, just kind of take me back to what I assume was the first time you met Gus. I know you both coached back at Tulsa under Todd Graham back in the day, 07, 08 time period. Was that the first you met of him, and what do you kind of remember from those early days of working with Gus?
That was the first time we actually met, face to face. I knew who Gus was. He obviously had written a book at that point, and so in the world that we operated in, the no huddle world, and kind of spread no huddle concept world. I came from West Virginia. We were doing it and running more zone concepts, up front, run game wise. And Gus is coming from Arkansas, and he was more kind of gap based, wing tee based run concepts, and then the play actions and the things that you marry up together to put together our package. But we were both cut from the same cloth, in terms of philosophically wanting to be, in that tempo world, I guess is the best way to put it. So I knew of him, and then when we had a chance to work together, we took the, like I said, the zone concepts that we ran at West Virginia and the gap game concepts that Gus had been running at the Springdale High School and at Arkansas when he was there for the 1 year at University of Arkansas. And we married those together and put together a really neat package. And, we had some really good players at Tulsa that executed it well. And, and we kind of built things from there. But, ever since then, 2007, so that's 14 years ago, Gus and I have been very close since then, and had the opportunity to work together at Auburn as well. He's just been, he's kind of one of my core dudes, and so when he called me, when this opportunity came up, it was kind of a no-brainer, for me to come here. So.
Hello, Coach. Trace Trelko, Sons of UCF. Welcome. Coach Malzahn has said that UCF is getting the best version of him based on all of his experience as a coach. How does that statement resonate with you personally?
Well, I felt like, here's what I would tell you based on just the, I guess I've been here for maybe about 10 days so far. He seems to be a little bit more, I don't know, relaxed or something is the best way to put it. I think the time period that he's had where he was off, out of, the off time has, he talks about it. It was a great time for him to reflect and to, just kind of look back on the things he's been able to accomplish in his career and all that stuff. But also to realize, all of us, myself included, how blessed we are to be able to do what we do. And, and of course, you're always motivated, as a coach, we're wired that way, and players the same way, we're motivated and we're very, very competitive people. And so when you say, hey, I'm getting the best version of you, probably there's a little bit of that, fire in the belly to say, let's go out and do something that nobody really expects us to do, and do something really special. And that's what we want to do here at UCF. And the great part about here is the expectation levels are really high here, and that's awesome. And that's where you want to be. Nobody rises to low expectations, and so we have very high expectations here. We have very high standards and high expectations. And that's what's exciting about being at a place like this. But certainly, the last couple of weeks, I've noticed that that it seems to me like Gus is kind of like the guy that I first got to work with when we were at Tulsa together, and that's awesome. I know his creative juices are flowing. He's, he wants to. He's looking forward to really getting back into spring practice mode. So.
Good to meet you, Coach. This is Kyle Nash with a three-point conversion. And I just was wondering this, the past few years, various offensive linemen have either gone on to the NFL to take their shot, or in some cases the WWE to be professional athletes and some sort of support there, kind of leaving you a situation where you're kind of starting with a newer core. How is that exciting for you as a coach, and what opportunity does that have for you to go into spring practice?
Well, I tell you what, I love our unit, our offensive line unit. I've had the opportunity, obviously, over the course of the last 10 days or so, to meet with them several times, and just kind of get to know you type sessions. We've had some unit meetings, as well as a lot of one-on-one time with them. I'm looking forward to coaching these guys. We've got basically 6 of our top offensive linemen back, and I think I did the numbers the other day. I was looking at how many snaps between those 6 guys. There's like 4,200 snaps of experience, or maybe more. It might have been 4,800 snaps of experience, okay, from last year alone. And that excites me, because anytime you can have a veteran group, you cannot put a price tag on experience. And so the veteran group aspect of it certainly excites me. And we've got some really good young guys as well. Guys that I'm looking forward to getting on the field and seeing what they're made of, and where we can improve, how we can develop. And but certainly when you have a veteran group like that, it's an exciting opportunity. I'm looking forward to next week, or I guess a week and a half from now, when we get on the field and start spring practice.
Herb's Matt Rochelle from the Orlando Sentinel. You talked about these guys who come back, the experience you get from some of the offensive linemen. In your mind, what are you looking for in a good offensive line?
Well, that might be a little bit longer answer than we have time for right now, but because there's a lot of different things, okay, that you want to see, okay. From a physical standpoint, obviously we have some. I like to look up at guys. I don't necessarily want. I used to be 6'2". I don't know if I'm that tall anymore. I might get a little bit older, but I like to be able to look up at them. That's number one, instead of looking eye to eye at them. But and we certainly got some good guys that have some length to them, which is good to see. But you want guys who can bend, okay, that are flexible. All right. You want guys that can move their feet. Okay. You want guys who can, that they're not heavy footed. All right. I want guys that play with fast feet, guys who have good change of direction. Okay. You want to have guys who are physical enough at the point of attack to reestablish the line of scrimmage. Okay. And my guys will hear me say all the time about denting the defense and coming off the ball and reestablishing the line of scrimmage. So they have to be physical enough to do that, but you want guys that are athletic enough to get out and block in space. So if we have a variety of screens and reverses and outside run concepts where we're asking our guys to get up and block second and third level defenders, and so they have to be athletic enough to do that as well. One of the most important aspects of being an offensive lineman is being able to process and being able to think quickly, because on the snap of the ball, things can change. Right at the snap or right before the snap, the defense shifts, or the linebacker slide, or a safety comes down, and you have to be able to process that information quickly and then communicate with one another. And that aspect of it, I think, sometimes gets overlooked in the physical capabilities of guys. I've had some guys that the best players are the ones that can, when the ball is snapped, they can think on their feet and they can adjust. And there's other guys that have struggled in that regard, and it's difficult. It's a lot more difficult for those guys to execute at the level that you want them to. So we want guys who can process and think and then communicate with one another. So there's a lot of aspects to offensive line play, rather than, I know that if you're just sitting there looking at it, sometimes we go, oh, we got to block somebody. Well, no kidding. That's what our job is, to block somebody. But we also got to make sure that, we're getting our hats on the right hats. We're not just out there running around in circles, So there's a lot that goes into it. And it starts with the ability to process and communicate and get on the same page. And then, of course, all those physical attributes we talked about. So, there's a lot that goes into it.
Hi, Coach. Jonathan Alfano with NSM Today here. I know you've only been here a few short days, but how much have you really gotten to sit down with your offensive linemen and really get to know them on a personal level?
Yeah, that's a great question. That was our number one priority, coming in. And, Coach Malzahn is like he'll tell you, he's an old high school coach, right? And so when you're kind of come up through that realm, okay, I played small college football. I didn't play at Division I level. I played at a little small college in upstate New York called Hamilton College, and it was Division III football. And it wasn't the big business, if you will, of college football. We understand that there's that aspect of it, but we want to kind of remove that aspect of it and have the one-on-one relationships that it takes to be successful. On a daily basis, you've got to be. Those guys have to trust you, and they have to know that you've got their best interests at heart. That you really truly care about them, and the only way to do that is to spend time with them and develop that. That's something that's got to be earned. And there is some, when you first come in, there's some unconditional, like respect. There's unconditional, there's some levels of trust that are in there, but I still have got to earn their trust. I've got to show them how much I care about them. It's not just about talking about it, and that takes time. Okay. So one of the first things that we did when we got here was, it was, look, I know we got to recruit and we got to get ready for spring practice, but first and foremost, it's take time to get to know your players. And so, like I said, I've had a few different, opportunities to sit down with them, and we haven't even talked one bit of X's and O's. All we've talked about is, who I am as a person, right? I tell them about my family. Just so they can start to get to know me. And then we had one-on-one meetings where I was probably in there with, half an hour, 45 minutes with guys, each one of them, just trying to, find out about their family. Where do they come from? What have their experiences been? And, because that's what's going to ultimately bond us closer together is those relationships. So very, very important part of the coaching aspect of it.
Yeah, Coach Brandon Helwig again with Rivals.com. You were part of those Tulsa teams that played at UCF. Kind of when this program was starting to get going. I know that 2007 conference championship game that Tulsa came here to Orlando. Obviously went on to have 3 New Year's Six appearances. In the years that followed. Just kind of, what did you know about this program? What are you learning about this program? I know you mentioned, the expectations are already high here. And what kind of vision do you have for the UCF program going forward under Gus?
Well, I can tell you this. I've been at coaching now for, 30 years or so, but I've had 4 different schools have had the opportunity to compete against UCF. When I was at West Virginia in the early 2000s, we had a couple of games. I think maybe Mike Kruchik's last year and George O'Leary's first year in that realm. And then, then when Gus and I were at Tulsa, we came here in 2007 twice and got kicked. They beat us in the regular season, and then in the championship game, had a real defensive line, man. I could still hear the crowd out here in the bounce house going, "Deuceable!" every time Leslie Deuceable made a play. It haunts me. You know what I mean? As the old line coach, that's, So, but no, man, great teams, great players. In 2007, 2008, UCF came out to Tulsa. We got the best of them then. When I was at Penn State, we opened up with UCF in Ireland, and that was a heck of a ball game. Came down to the last play. We wound up kicking a field goal on the last play. But there's just unbelievable players on the field, and the athletes that you see out there, the guys, the way they play for each other, they strain, and I think that a lot of that comes from guys having a little chip on their shoulder too, and then of course, when I was at Auburn, we got kicked in the Peach Bowl, and UCF had an unbelievable team that year. I just, I think about that even the build up to that game. You could see the way they played on defense. Of course, I was, trying to prepare for them, and they just played extremely hard for each other, and took a lot of pride in what they were doing on the field. And so I know the pride and tradition and the history of this program, having competed against it so many times. That's what made it really, when I said earlier about being a no-brainer to come here, because I've seen UCF at its very best and what it can be and what it will be. And, Coach Malzahn said, hey, the future of college football is here. It's here in Orlando. And we're certainly excited about, being in the process of taking UCF where the foundation is already built. We have a very strong foundation, and just taking it to that next level at a consistent pace or a consistency, adding a consistency in there to continue at that level, not just to get there, but just to get there and stay there. And our goal is to be in the national championship hunt and to be in the playoffs. And that's something that we really believe that you can accomplish here because we have everything that we need. We got an unbelievable fan base, got great location, unbelievable weather. I mean, the other day, when I left out of North Carolina to drive down here, as soon as I crossed the Florida line, it was like the sun came out. I was like, where's the sun been? So we got unbelievable weather, great location, great fans. We got a lot to offer. We got a great history and tradition of the program. So we're just excited about building it and continuing to build it. Because like I said, the foundation's been laid. We just want to make sure that, like we say, the future of college football is here.
Trey Strelko, Sons of UCF. Coach, what's made you a successful recruiter during your career?
Relationships, and again, it kind of goes back to when you start looking at, as soon as we got here, the first thing we had to do was to get to know our current players, and you build your relationships that way. Like right now, I feel like I've got really strong relationships with the offensive linemen. I've been here for 10 days and have taken the time to build those. But recruiting, that's what it boils down to. Guys want to go to school where they feel like they can develop. Okay. And, I look at my last stop at Texas. I had a guy named Samuel Cosme who, is projected to be a first-round draft pick. He was a 3-star recruit coming out of high school, and we developed him. And that doesn't happen overnight. But it also takes the relationship that I have with Sam Cosme, because he has to trust what I'm coaching him and trust what I'm pouring into him from a development standpoint. And so, guys want to go where they can be developed, where they can, maximize their potential and maximize the experience they have in college football. And it starts with the relationship aspect of it. You got to build those, and that takes time. And it's not just with the young man. It's with the prospect. It's his parents. It's the people around him who are important to him. Who's that guy's hero in life? Because at some point he's going to turn around. He's going to say, "What do you think I should do?" And who's that person he's asking? Right? Maybe it's his high school coach, or it could be his history teacher or guidance counselor at the high school. You got to find out who those people are, and you got to build relationships with them as well. But that's ultimately what it boils down to, is the relationship aspect of it, and being able to show them, hey man, you can achieve everything that you want to achieve, from a football perspective, certainly from an academic perspective and the quality of degree you're going to get, from a quality of life perspective, being here in Orlando, are you kidding me? This is one of the best places in the world to live. And so you got to show them all those things. But at the end of the day, a guy's going to go with who do I feel the best about from a relationship standpoint.
All right, last question here from Matt Murschel.
All right, Herb, this is a kind of a non-football question, so to speak. You're obviously a self-proclaimed foodie. Are you eager to get out in Orlando and check out the food scene here?
I've already been out in Orlando to check out the food scene. Yeah. No, I used to recruit here. So I had some spots, back but I found some new ones. So one of my guys that I trade a lot of food secrets with is a guy named Andy Staples, right? He's a national writer, he's a Florida guy. So as soon as I got the job here, he started texting me, "Oh, you got to go eat here. I will say this, okay? Pom Pom Tea House and Sandwicheria. Okay, Sandwicheria. Pom Pom Tea House and Sandwicheria. Mama Ling Ling's Thanksgiving dinner sandwich. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Mama Ling Ling slaps. Okay, that's all I'm telling you. If anybody that's in Orlando area, go there, get that sandwich, and you can thank Andy Staples because he's the one who turned me on to it.